Suze, it's great to sit on. What are these cushions called?
These are our 5-position floor chairs that are meditation chairs that we make here in Los Angeles.
So I could have my own meditation chair.
You can, and people buy them because they're super padded and they lay flat. So you bend it up, you can lay it flat, and it turns into like a bed.
So how did you go from being kind of a fashion guru to decide to, quote unquote, unplug?
Well, when you're in the fashion industry, it is a very fast-paced, crazy environment. And what actually happened was I moved to Los Angeles here for my husband's job. He was working for the philanthropist Eli Broad.
Sure.
And when he decided he wanted to move here, and I moved here, I was then going back and forth between New York and Los Angeles, and I was very stressed leaving my 3 kids here in LA without a family or friends to back me up. And my husband was working at the time. So I was very stressed, and my mother-in-law, who's a psychotherapist, said, try this exercise. And she had me close my eyes, and she had me take deep breaths and then imagine myself in my happy place. And in those 3 minutes, I completely transformed. And afterwards, I said, what was that? And she said, it's called meditation. And I said, meditation? Oh, let me check it out. So I came back to LA. I was Googling meditation, and it turned out to be very difficult. You had to either commit to a 4-day practice, a 6-week program, a retreat. There was no like easy way in 2012 to just kind of go in, meditate, and leave, the New Yorker style version. So as I was searching for places, I was thinking to myself, this would be a genius business idea. And I said to my husband, I'm quitting fashion. I'm going to open up a meditation studio. And he said, you should probably learn how to meditate first. So that's what I did. I ended up taking all of the courses. And as a fashion editor, I wanted to edit the way that meditation was being presented. So the more classes I took, the more incredible I experienced the personal benefits, but at the same time, I was able to kind of curate a different experience. And as you can see, Unplug is the world's first drop-in meditation studio. And you see that blank screen behind us?
Yes.
That is for your brain. We want to clear our brains. It's a really clean, simple, blank space for you to be able to have your own experience.
So I oftentimes, I'm kind of interested in people's personal journeys, as well as their Jewish journeys. And I will often ask a guest, when you were an adolescent, did you dream of being what you are now? Now, obviously the answer is no. You had kind of an aha moment.
Exactly.
Growing up, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Livingston, New Jersey.
Okay.
I was born in Manhattan, grew up in New Jersey, and my dream was always to be a fashion editor. My father was the president of Macy's, and so I kind of grew up in the Macy's department store and the Thanksgiving Day parade, and I just loved fashion. And I really went all in on fashion right when I graduated from college, and even before, because I did summer programs, internships, and I worked hard to kind of make it in the fashion business.
And when you were growing up, what was your Jewish life and Jewish house like?
My Jewish house was more about the food than about the religion. Gefilte fish, chopped liver, liverwurst sandwiches. But we belonged to B'nai Abraham in Livingston, and it was more in Short Hills. And we had the most incredible Rabbi Friedman, who was great. And I went to Hebrew school. I got bat mitzvahed. And at the end of my bat mitzvah, that was kind of where it ended. And I would go for the high holy days, and then that was it.
And it's interesting. So I have 4 questions that I ask within these conversations, and I very rarely ask this question first. But you already led into it, which is Jewish food. So among the Jewish foods that you ate, do you have a favorite Jewish food memory?
Well, I guess, Passover and gefilte fish go hand in hand. Matzah, I love matzah, and I eat it all year round. I don't just eat it during the holidays. Chopped liver on matzah is unbelievable. Matzo ball soup is definitely comfort food for me. So there's a deli down the street called Froman's, which I love. And sometimes I order a half a liverwurst sandwich and a matzo ball soup. and it just makes me feel at home.
And in terms,
I don't really admit that I eat
Right.
liverwurst,
No,
but I love it.
no, it's good. Now,
I'm not a vegan,
there will be
unfortunately.
tens of thousands of people that know Suze eats liverwurst. You might
I
be
outed
the
myself.
only person under the age of 85 that orders liverwurst at Froman's.
I'm surprised they still have it.
No, they
frankly.
have it for you, Suze.
Yeah.
And so today you have 3 sons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, are you picking their wardrobes as well? Are you editing their fashion?
I think, unfortunately, that stopped when they got into the 7th grade. It was no more, Mom. They have their own style, and some of it is cringeworthy, I'll be honest with you, but they definitely have a style.
That's good. So in this work that you're doing, so obviously people, Jews and others, I believe are becoming more and more spiritual and looking inward more than they ever are, even though they may not be engaging Jewishly more than they ever are. And I'm wondering, one, are you seeing a lot of the people who come through your doors, are they Jewish? Do you notice that? And for you, where is there a connection between the spirituality of Judaism and meditation?
So, yes, I have a lot of New Yorkers and a lot of Jewish people
Who
that
need to
come
de-stress, right?
Unplug. A lot of people who kind of resemble me, because I actually built Unplug meditation for myself. So it is attracting people that are similar to me. They're working people, not all moms, a lot of men, a lot of women. But I really don't know what the percentage is of how many people are Jewish and how many people are not. We try to keep Unplug as a secular space where we do not introduce religion. So they come and everybody brings their own religion, spirituality, or just lack thereof into the experience. We make it a really kind of basic space where people have profound experiences. There could be 55 people or 75 people in a room, and they all walk out and say, that was mind-blowing. And then you ask them why, and they will tell you that they all had these just unbelievably different experiences. So, yes, I think, in the Jewish religion, there's a lot of meditation where you're sitting and you're in silence.
Right.
And there's also a lot of prayer. So
Right.
I always say prayer is when you bring something outward to God, and meditation is when you're kind of connecting to yourself and stillness and silence. And if you bring religion into your meditation, that's a thought. And what we're trying to do is help people move away from thoughts so that they can find stillness and silence within.
And this experience has changed you, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And has it connected you more to being Jewish or not? Or
I've always been connected to being Jewish. My family's Jewish. My husband's Jewish. A lot of my friends are
Right.
Jewish. In fact, I remember I actually went to Catholic school when I was in 11th grade, 10th grade. And I was so surprised because I thought everybody was Jewish. I grew up in a Jewish town. It was interesting to kind of get
how'd you get to a
outside of the
Catholic
bubble.
school?
I was kind of acting up a little bit in the 9th grade, and my parents were trying to find a school that, would take me outside of the bubble,
Right.
which is that everybody else was Jewish. So I ended up staying there for 2 years, and then I ended up going back to my regular public
So
high school.
in your childhood or in your youth, did you have a Jewish aha moment where you really felt like being Jewish was always going to be important to you?
It never was even a question. It's part of my identity. I was born Jewish. I've been raised Jewish, and everybody I was around was Jewish. So it was meeting the time when I went into 10th grade where I met people who were not Jewish, that then I realized what it meant to be Jewish. In fact, my mother wrote a book called What It Means to Be Jewish.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Where can we get the book?
You can get it on Amazon. Ina Yalof.
And what made her write it, and what made her equipped to write it?
She is a journalist, so she wrote it with a journalist's eye. My mother's written about 15 books now,
Wow.
all of them very different from me. Some on open heart surgery. One is called Food in the City. They're incredible books. And what it means to be Jewish is something that was very important to her.
So one of my questions I ask everybody is, in a way, help me do my job. So you have a very unique approach to life, right? Which is basically slow down, take deep breaths, and be inward. My life is all outward. I probably should meditate, which is why I think Alana thought this was a good idea for me. Maybe her subtext was I would be more relaxed after this podcast. But that aside, my job is to figure out what the greatest challenge is facing the Jewish people and how can we address them. You're a mother of 3 boys. You're seeing people coming in stressed out. Do you have a sense of what you would do if you were in my job, what you would think the greatest challenge facing the Jewish people is?
Well, I think stress is the number one killer in America. And it is something that causes a lot of horrible things to happen to a lot of people. So for Jewish people, stress is a killer. It causes diseases. And what I'm trying to do is help people. They come in stressed and they walk out calm. And it's very simple. I mean, I could teach you a technique in 16 seconds that you'll want to use all the time.
Let's
you
do
ready?
It. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stress you out first, and then I'm going to show you how to turn it off.
I don't think you have to work so hard. Yeah. All right.
All right. So close your eyes. And I want you to think about something that causes you stress. It could be LA traffic. It could be anything. But when you think of that thing, I want you to raise your hand. Okay. You can place your hand down now. And I want you to follow my instructions. I want you to breathe in through your nose to the count of 4. 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath for 4 seconds. 2, 3, 4. And an audible exhale out for 4 seconds. 3, 4. And hold your breath for 4 seconds. And open your eyes. Were you thinking about that thing that caused you stress when we were breathing? I was not. Exactly. So that's called a pattern interrupt. I learned it from David G., who's one of the teachers here. And we can interrupt the pattern of stress. So if something's activating you, like your Jewish mother, you can press pause.
I talk to her every day. That does do that. But she's one of many things that stresses me out.
Yes, but you can press pause.
Yep.
And before you react to situations from an emotional place, you can actually choose how you're going to respond. So taking 16 seconds is an easy thing to do. We all have 16 seconds all the time. Being able to pause yourself in those moments when you notice you might say something that you would regret, or you're feeling anxious, or you can't fall asleep, as we talked about before. 16 seconds is a great way to do that.
Okay, all right.
And when you slow down your breath, you actually send a signal to your brain that everything's going to be okay, even when it's not.
So you've made major life changes, and do you feel, I mean, you're still building a business, so do you feel less stressful today than you did 10 years ago?
Yes and no. I mean, when you own a business and you're trying to build it and grow it, it is a very stressful thing. But I'm fortunate in the fact that I first built this studio so that I could come here when I was feeling stressed. And then when I found myself working so much harder during the day between, pick up and drop off, I realized I couldn't get into the studio as much as I wanted to. So we created the Unplug meditation app, which I actually created a panic button for myself so I could pause.
Would you have it with you so you can show me the panic button?
I do. So
I've been pushing the panic button many, many times a day.
I actually find myself doing just that.
When I was in college, I dated a girl who's involved in transcendental meditation. Mm-hmm. That's how I got. That was my first experience with meditation.
Right.
Mostly to get a girl to go out with me. Yes.
So this is the panic button, and when I press that, you can see all the different titles. So there's when you're overwhelmed, when you're angry, meeting the moment with kindness, shifting limiting beliefs, willpower meditation, before you eat that, before you drink that, before you have a difficult conversation, pause before you purchase, anger management, panic attacks be gone. I wish I could take that back. Before you send that email, saying no for people pleasers. I could go on.
Right.
Basically, every single issue I've ever had in my life, I put onto the app.
So
they're little mini meditations where you press a button and the teacher, my favorite teachers, are teaching in video form, so you feel like you're connected to them, and they pretty much talk you off the ledge.
So if I was a rabbi, I remember a long time ago, I met a rabbi, Rabbi Irwin Kula, who runs an organization called Klal. And my first experience with him, I sat with him and I said, I'm disengaged as well before I was at the Federation. I'm disengaged in Jewish life. I don't really do anything Jewish anymore. And he said, walk me through your day. And I said, in the morning, I go to the gym. And he said, stop. That's morning prayers. Because in morning prayers, we're really reflecting upon our body and a lot of other things. He gave me all these details. So when my Jewish literacy is good, but I'm not a rabbi. When I heard you talk about all those things, they're all in Judaism. They're all parts of being Judaism, parts of being Jewish, and things that on paper are reflective of the experience of being in a synagogue and things like that. So do you think about the fact that maybe you're creating, and this might be a good thing, it might be a challenging thing, in essence, a synagogue for the 21st century?
Well, people say that they feel like Unplug is a sacred space.
Okay.
But it's a place to unplug from technology, just like you would when you go to services.
Right.
You're not bringing your phone out. You're not hooked up on your device. So for me, I think the biggest epidemic is that we're hooked up 24/7 now.
Right.
So this is a space where we literally take your phone at the front door. You're not allowed, I mean, I was showing you the app, but you are not allowed to have your phone inside of this space.
That must be so hard.
People love it. In fact, they say to me afterwards that even if the class wasn't great, and it always is, that just being separated from their device and scheduling 45 minutes or 30, because that's how long our classes are, to be with themselves is the biggest and greatest gift of all.
So you're more spiritual than you've ever been, and you're more relaxed than you've ever been.
I wouldn't say I'm more spiritual than I've ever been, because I've always been someone who believes in God. That's never been a problem for me.
Right.
I mean, it was interesting because when my son was getting bar mitzvahed, we did this really fun thing where there were all these different dots, and everybody was supposed to write down what God means to them. There was like the puppet master, nature. I don't even remember what everything else was. But my husband and my son went to nature, and I went to the puppet master. So it's interesting how we all see.
So if you could, you are the fantastic guest of all time because you segued into all my questions, my 4 questions. My last of my 4 questions is about God. If you could ask God one question, what would that question be?
That's a big question.
Yes. Hopefully it's a big question.
I have so many.
Although people have answered this question with small questions, but you have one question, so.
I would want to know what the meaning of life is. Like, I feel it's to love each other, but I would like to hear from him what it actually is and why suffering happens to some people. Yeah, I would like to understand that question.
Okay. I mean, I think that there are many ways that people live their lives. One is intentionally and one is, things just happen, right? So if you're intentional, and look at you, you're intentional, and you're authentic. Those are my 2 things, my life philosophies. Then you know that the world's bigger than you are, which is where God comes in, at least for me. And you also recognize that you're not just here for yourself, right? If you can make this is a conversation I have with my daughter all the time when she's stressed out about something that happens in the world. And that's what our young people are living in, a world where things happen regularly that you can't even explain to them why somebody went into a school with a gun and things like that. I say, we are responsible for a corner of our world, and if we can really do a good job in that one corner and everybody took a corner, then this would be a fantastic place. Right. But it's when we sit back, again, it's kind of the philosophy of meditation, right? It's when we sit back and we're a spectator, don't take responsibility for ourselves, our feelings, our stress, then bad things happen.
Right. Well, I really do believe that mental hygiene is as important as physical hygiene. I know you've been around these kind of people too, who just are so stressed out, and they're with you, but they're not actually with you. They're thinking about the next thing, and they're freaking out because they're late for this.
Highly anxious,
Yes. And it's not pleasant to be around those people. But meditation is something that really cleans and clears your brain. And if people would take it as seriously, they would see the benefits that I get to see every day from so many different people achieving so many different benefits. From the athlete who fell off his bike, was injured, never thought he would ride his bike again, who's now back doing triathlons. From the woman who couldn't get pregnant, whose fertility doctor sent her here and told her to take off 2 weeks of work and just come here for 2 weeks, who had a baby, who credits me for her baby. Now, I'm not saying that this is what this will do for everyone,
right,
but I am saying that there is a power in the pause. There is a power in clearing out your energy and self-awareness so that you can actually see not only the way your own mind is working, but the way your ripple is affecting the rest of the world. And if we all took control over our own ripple, I believe the world would be a much better place. And I think meditation is a way to kind of own your ripple, because you get to be able to be more mindful on how the words that you say and the things that you do affect the people around you.
So you're obviously thinking about building this business. I'm assuming you're thinking about other locations. Have you ever thought about opening an Unplug in Israel?
It's interesting that you asked me that, because I have so many friends in Israel who constantly are begging me to open up Unplug Israel. How can I be in Israel right now? If someone said to me, I want to open up Unplug Israel, will you help me? I would definitely be interested in doing something like that. I do think it would help, because there's so much stress in Israel. I mean, living in those conditions where you're worried about whether your bus is going to be attacked.
Or rockets.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point you get numb, but I think being able to really just connect and calm yourself and self-soothe, which is what meditation does, is the greatest gift of all, which is another reason why I built the Unplug app, because now everyone in Israel, and we've got a lot of subscribers in Israel, can actually access our Los Angeles teachers and our Los Angeles classes at the click of a button.
But the only thing I'll push back on, and I don't want people to think I'm talking about putting synagogues out of business this way, but the idea of being in a room like this and being with people, although you're inward, there's something communal about that. Definitely. I mean, I would say to you, Suze, I need you to do me two favors. One is you need to open up a string of these in Israel, and the second thing is you have to go to your synagogue, Kehillat Israel, in the Pacific Palisades, and talk to Amy, the rabbi, and say, you know what, we want a meditation room in the synagogue, and if people, even, by the way, I think people get stressed out sometimes in services, right?
Wow, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, sure. It's the literacy issue in the Jewish world is a big one, right? Like people walking into a synagogue for the first time don't know how to enter in, don't know what the prayers are. So the opportunity to do silent meditation in another room might actually be a revolutionary idea for synagogues.
Yeah, it'll be like our meditation mishpacha.
Yeah, yeah. So
I just actually learned that word from my friend who's called the mindful skater chick in Miami, and she
the
called
mindful skater chick in Miami.
She's from Israel.
From Israel,
and moved to Miami, and she was born Orthodox. She grew up in an Orthodox family. Is no longer Orthodox, but she was sitting with me, and she's like, "You're like my meditation mishpacha." Mishpacha means family, for those of you that don't know who are listening to this. And it's kind of nice, because I think of all the people that come here, whether they're Jewish or they're not Jewish, and I really don't care, as my family. They're people who are coming for the same purpose, and that is to own their ripple, clear their energy, and feel better about the way they live their lives.
So back to your family life now. Are your sons meditators?
Yes. In fact, my oldest son, Austin, actually is a certified meditation instructor, and he just went into a basketball camp and taught the little kids how to meditate. So I'm super proud of him.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I actually forced all of my kids when they were younger to take mindfulness classes at Unplug. We called it the Unplug Kids program, and now we do it privately. And I always say that it was the best thing that ever happened to me as a mom, because before they were very reactive. Kids don't really have an on and off switch. But when they learned how to be more mindful, they were able to pause, calm themselves, self-soothe, and be more, aware of themselves in the way that they were behaving in my home and our home and at school. And it really was helpful.
And what about your husband?
My husband meditates too. He's my partner in life, and he's a partner in this business.
No, being a partner in business and life doesn't mean he's meditating.
Yeah, he meditates. He actually was here today and took the 10:30. He loves it.
And he's probably really proud of you. And you came here, oftentimes when relationships move for one person, it's sometimes challenging. So you were able to actually make something really powerful out of the move.
Yeah, I mean, the move was really about not the job so much as the adventure of starting something totally new, going to a different place, being in sunshine 24/7. I mean, LA is honestly, are you from LA?
I'm from Boston.
Okay, so isn't this amazing here? It's basically sunny and 78 degrees every single day.
It's amazing, but I just tried to encourage a person in New York to come here for a job. And she said she can't leave New York because she didn't want to leave the seasons. And I told her, well, and there's 4 seasons in LA too, right?
Right.
There's early summer, there's midsummer, there's late summer, and there's early spring.
Right. And it's interesting because on the East Coast, they really savor the summer. So those 2 months, it's like, do not mess with those 2 months.
Right.
They are the most important 2 months. They wake up early, they go to bed late, and they savor every second of summer. Here, you don't even realize when it's Labor Day or
No, you get
when it's Memorial Day.
It's 68 degrees here, and you're like as cold as you were in New York when it was below zero.
Exactly. That's true. So your skin gets
So what's next?
What's next? Well, what's next is my mission, and that is we just redeveloped this app, the Unplug guided meditation app, and my dream is to get everyone to use it. We created this 30-day meditation challenge, which is so easy. All the meditations are under 10 minutes, and it's free to sign up for the 30-day meditation challenge, although the app you have to pay for, so it's like $7.99 a month. And it's one of the greatest things because people who are doing it build consistent practices that they find interesting, fun, powerful, and are changing the way that they're living their lives. So my goal is for really to have more awareness around the app and to share it with as many people as possible and to open up more studios.
Okay, but you understand my goals for you and the company are a little different. I want you to open studios in Israel. And I want you to start working with synagogues to create meditation rooms in synagogues. So you have to
invite me as a guest. What synagogue do you belong to?
I belong to Valley Beth Shalom in Encino. I actually belong to like 4 synagogues.
You invite me to your synagogues, and I will come in and teach the entire congregation how to meditate.
All right.
It would be an honor and a pleasure. Okay,
so we end the podcast with a little bit of a lightning round, although you've kind of taken all my questions away from me because you've already said how you feel about certain things. But we'll start easy.
Okay.
New York or LA?
Apples and oranges.
Apples or oranges, then would be my next question. Do you prefer? I mean, that's not an answer unto itself.
Well, the answer is I love both. I mean, I love New York, the grit, the seasons, the craziness, and I love LA, the sunshine, the healthy lifestyle, and,
Okay. I'm assuming you've been to Israel. I didn't ask you that.
I have.
Okay. Tel Aviv or Jerusalem?
Jerusalem.
Because?
The history.
Okay. All right.
Are we supposed to? Am I supposed to do one word answer?
No. That is a lightning round.
To elaborate?
I'm squirting it up.
Okay.
All right. Lox or gefilte fish? You talked about gefilte fish.
Lox.
Lox. All right. Do you have a favorite place anywhere for lox and a bagel?
Here?
Anywhere.
Well, Barney's Green Grass, New York City.
Okay. All right.
Number 1.
All right.
Number 2, Fairway Cafe, New York City. Number 3, what is the name of that new place? Weitzler's Deli here?
Wexler's.
Love that. Froman's, Nate and Al's.
All right. This is not a deli conversation. Okay.
I could go on.
Sleep or meditation?
I need both.
If you had to pick one?
I'd have to pick sleep.
Okay.
Because sleep is the greatest form of meditation.
There you go. I end every podcast, and I do not want a list of your favorite places, but I end every podcast with the same question to end on a sweet note. Babka or rugelach?
babka.
Susie, thank you. I feel
Thank you.
I feel de-stressed sitting here, and I'm going to have to think about how I incorporate meditation in my reasonably stressful life.
It's easy. Just get the Unplug meditation app and just click the button and go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.